Hey everybody, my name's Elaine Adams. Some people call me Stockmom, and it's my pleasure to introduce a new show called Aftermarket Therapy. Now let's see if I can get this background music to work. Do you hear that, man?
I don't think so. Not on my end.
There you go.
Oh
Well,
no.
either way, we'll be all right. I had this beautiful, real dope, very church themed theme song to set up, and maybe we'll get it going the next time. And this time, unfortunately, it didn't happen. Anyways, this show's called Aftermarket Therapy, and the whole point of it really is to just introduce a little bit of mental health aspect to the stock market. I think every day, so many people, and we all watch these shows with different analysts and people who are just trying to go at it extremely objectively. We appreciate every single one of you. And every time we go with the ups and downs, we go candle by candle and feel how it feels to move through this market with these stocks. The news, it affects everybody every single day. And me, I trade every day, right? That's my life. However, I just feel like there's a lack of people addressing how it feels, right? And who can you complain to? Who can you talk to about your greatest successes? I think all traders and people who are investors, whatever institutions, you've made and lost. I mean, eye-watering amounts of money that for most people it's unrelatable, right? I can't take that to the barbershop. I mean, I'd like to, not that I go, but anyways. So I'd love to address that. So I'll tell you a little bit about what we're going to do today, and yeah, in general. So for these shows, we're going to have a short interview with a guest. Today's guest is my great friend Zev, who I can't wait to do like kind of a longer introduction. Hey Zev. And
Thanks for having me.
after that, oh dude, thanks for coming, man. I do appreciate you so much.
For the
We're going to go
pilot,
over trading psychology. Oh, for the pilot, yeah. I mean, come on. Honestly, between me and you, we have these conversations behind the scenes all the time, and it's a joy to be able to actually share them with people.
Yeah, 100%.
So we're going to talk about trading psychology, some of the mechanics behind the trades. We'll do a short market recap. We'll definitely be talking about news. And oh my God, is there news? Biden's at it again, Zev, as usual. We'll talk about stocks we like moving into the week. And then I have some segments that are kind of fun. Well, we'll talk about some easy money plays gone bad. I mean, I think a lot of people's reopening trades are piping hot right now. And there's no care given to the idea of debt. And what that has to do to the underlying stock and how we should be viewing these, seeing as how they're right back where they were pre-COVID. And then we'll do a section of things that I found out about on Reddit. And just I kind of love reading the stories. I don't really take them as DD or anything like that, but I do enjoy seeing people just come
Highly
collectively
entertaining.
or highly entertaining.
I love Reddit. Huge Wall Street Bets fan.
Oh, and I mean, like, there's another segment like that we don't have time to talk about today, called the Everything Short, where it's this guy is going to do a short on the bond market. He thinks the bond market is going to short squeeze, which I love. I love the audacity of that. But I heard it on Reddit story, is actually going to be about silver. Anyways, I just want to start this off with a quick disclaimer, and it's that none of this is financial advice. I'm sure Benzinga puts that in everything that they do, but I want to say it here, right? I am not a financial advisor. I am not acting in any sort of advisory role. This is all just entertainment and potentially education if you're the sort of person who likes to hear people talk long about stocks. So with that said, we're going to get straight into it. So first off, who am I? What am I doing here? Why do you care what the hell I think? So my name's Elaine, and previous to becoming a full-time trader and really kind of using the market as my main source of income, I was a teacher. I was a teacher and a professor. I do occupational safety and health. I had a business where all we did was put together training programs for people who were at-risk youth or getting out of jail or stuff like that. And the whole thing behind it was creating custom curriculum and trying to develop people into career paths. And in doing that, I actually got more into making my money work for me. Okay, I have a business. How do I get to that next level? Well, you have to find a way to invest in assets that appreciate. One of the easiest ways to do that was a stock market. So I started investing in stocks. And of course, I lost a ton of money. And then and so there we go, aftermarket therapy, right? There's the use case right there. I went in, I had all these high hopes and aspirations. I did my DD, I did as good research as I could. I paid for courses. I'm an engineering major, so that I don't know what that means. And I lost. And it was years. This is year 6 for me in the market and year 2 of actually being profitable. right? So, well, 2.5, I guess, or two and
Hey, that's
one
good.
third, whatever. Right. Hey, you know what? You do the best you can. And that's as a day trader. I'm not not a real big long term investor. 90% of my gains come from things I've traded slow. I mean, over the course of under 3 months. Anyways, so with that said, right, I'm a day trader. That's my primary trading style. I do have a long term portfolio. I also work with a long term portfolio for my mother, and that's real risk managed. I sell a lot of covered calls on my personal trading style. I definitely do, whatever, just regular calls. I do puts. I'll do bearish credit spreads. I'll do bullish credit spreads. It doesn't really matter to me. Just any way to kind of capitalize off of short-term price action is where I live. And yeah, I think that's it. I mean, just going through what it was, and so sorry, outside of this, we have a morning show that we do on Clubhouse. I participate on Clubhouse. It's another little social media app, kind of a lot. And yeah, we love doing pre-market. We love keeping that high energy and coming into the day with like a lot of intensity and focus and top-down analysis. However, after the market and after hours, I don't want to be that intense anymore. I want to objectively look at how I did, see how it makes me feel, talk to other people, see how their day was, and kind of let go of some of the stress of the day. I mean, most people talk about hopping into this is war. This is everything. This could make or break you
Yeah.
forever. And there's a stress associated with that, right? I mean, it's not a small piece. And so like on the other side of that, and I'm not a therapist, so I'm not here trying to say that, but I do want to create these safe spaces. And to that end, I personally have enjoyed having therapy sessions with just other traders and getting a chance to just talk about it, man. Why won't it go up? God, good Lord, I've done the DD. It's worth. I've done the valuations. At this point, we are
Oh
below
yeah, no.
the current
The
revenue
market
for
can stay
this.
rational far longer than you can stay solvent, right?
And that's exactly it. And to have somebody to share that with, Zev, to have
Yeah.
somebody who understands, God,
You
it
gotta
means everything to me.
you gotta have a sounding board too, like to reflect. Like if you are trying to look at it objectively, it definitely helps. I mean, look, I obviously don't day trade. I'm not allowed to own individual stocks because of work. Um, but the emotional aspect of it is definitely something, I think day traders and long-term investors would have to deal with. Um, everyone's got to kind of deal with it because the market, it's money, right? Like it'll definitely make you emotional.
Oh, for sure.
It'll kind of break you down if all your research is going against you.
Not only that, the market doesn't care. It doesn't care about your emotions. Like you said, it will stay irrational longer than you can stay solvent. And like that, I think like I grew up like not that like that, but I came into trading with these hardcore day trader types. Guys
Mm,
who do have decent accounts and did stick to their rules and were really pragmatic about their approach. I mean, I've gotten people think that I'm, critical of Tesla or something like that, but I have gotten reamed by people who explained in extreme detail why it is not worth it. Like from a
yeah.
premium side, from a price prediction side, it's just not worth it. Do I love Tesla? I mean, I conceptually like it. I don't really love Elon all that much, to be honest.
You're talking about
However,
options, like
I'm talking about
the premium
options,
on the
and I'm
options.
just talking about trying to predict the stock in general, man. Of all the stocks you can right, because that's all it is. Day trading, and I know maybe this is even a controversial take. It's kind of like gambling. Can you predict the price of a stock over a long-term amount of time? Yeah, you could probably have a fairly decent percentage chance of guessing based off of discounted cash flow and what it's actually worth in revenue and all of that, where it's going to go in 5 years, right? Even 1 year potentially.
Yeah, I
But
think
in 5 minutes,
right, because on the
in
one hand,
five
you're
minutes, how
valuing a
much can you
business.
guess? Hmm.
Yeah. Well, on one hand, you're valuing a business. On the flip side, you're trying to just game supply and demand. A
Yeah.
business's valuation obviously does not. It's not going to fluctuate minute to minute. It doesn't it really in theory shouldn't fluctuate day to day. If you are truly valuing the business, but if you're day trading, yeah, you are kind of, I guess beholden to the technicals. You're fighting multi-million
Hmm.
dollar algorithms, speed, look, if you're successful
True.
at it, that's phenomenal. If you can make a living off of it, that's phenomenal. But like, I certainly tried it, lost a bunch of money in a few weeks. I was like, nope, this ain't for me. Like, but valuing a business for the long term, like, I find that like that works more for me. Again, like, we can't own it, but this is why. So, I'm at Action Alerts Plus. I work with Jim, trying to manage his portfolio, and we try and teach people how to do that side of it. But even then, like, you still need therapy for it after you go through like a VIX blow up, or you go through a trade war with Trump and his tweets. And like, you need to step back and like look at like, why did I get into this? I was like, I just pitched that stock on the Boiler Room show, which is hosted with Josh Brown and Benzinga, right? And like, I pitched GMBL, which we've talked about a lot. I pitched it on Monday. It was already getting killed. It's down 10% today. And I'm like, I'm sitting here like, what am I missing? What am I missing? But but at the same time, like, if you're long-term, like, I'm looking at the story. And so like, I'm less concerned about the day-to-day. Now in your world, I mean, 10% down, you just got slaughtered. Like, you're going to work a long time to make that back.
I didn't make it 10. I wouldn't make it 10% down on.
Right. You'd be out. Right. You'd be out. Because you're looking at it like, this thing's going against me. The way I'm looking at it is it's just a better value now than it was on Friday, because the revenue estimate hasn't changed. The expectations for positive adjusted EBITDA haven't changed or anything. So it's like, but the market, I mean, but the thing in this market is, if you're in the wrong profile of stock, like, forget it. Like, if you're in a high flyer, the EVs, anything SPAC related, like, whatever your thesis is, I mean, that it's just not what the market wants right now. So you definitely have to have like the emotional like fortitude to kind of like ride it out if you're talking long term.
No, absolutely. And here's the thing though, right? Because the type of day trader I am, and some people are pure technicals, and I respect those people. I have nothing against that. For me, I mean, I'm halfway in between, right? I mean, I've talked to you a ton about discounted cash flow and how to value stocks better based off of revenue and EBITDA, and figure out. Look, honestly, for me, the way that I get my value in is buying things that are at a low price. I mean, regardless, as a day trader, it's still a small amount of money or a small percentage of a move that I'm trying to catch, but I want to catch a move. And
but how much are you factoring that in? Like, how much are you factoring in the valuation when you throw a position on?
That's how I get to the stock a lot of times, right? Like, I have these huge watch lists, hundreds of stocks long, but I'm looking for the ones that are kind of undervalued. And those tend to be where I'll put that on my short list of things I'm watching for the week, right? Like, AMD has been on my short list of things to watch for the week for quite some time now. Has it given me the price action that I want? No, but it's still at the right price.
Right. So are you kind of saying like you're looking at
that was the right price for sure.
Which one?
Apple 116 or 118, whatever it hit when we dipped down, a couple weeks ago. That was absolutely right. I can day trade the hell out of Apple at 118. And I did. Are you
so you're looking for stocks where it's like maybe someone like me who's focused more on the long term would think that that's undervalued already. So kind of like the long-term people are kind of nibbling at it, but then you're saying like, look, I'm just going to wait for it to get too far oversold because the whole market took a hit or whatever it is, because I think it's going to bounce right back. And so you're looking at something that's like at the bottom of a long-term trading range, or like maybe it's like an up channel, but you're looking at something at the bottom already. So even the long-term people are looking in, and then you're making the play that if it kind of pierces lower, you're just going to catch the wave up.
Oh, for sure. Like on the industrial side, right? We talked about Honeywell and GE. Like, that was my pick. I was looking at this
the
thing.
Honeywell's like long-term fundamental. They're amazing.
Oh, for sure. That is a long-term play, right? And I didn't hold on to Honeywell. But for me, I looked at GE. I said, man, the price on this thing, and this is the right price for sure. And all of a sudden, they started moving their business model and attracting more long-term people. And this is something I can play. It's absolutely. And on top of that, those stocks move slower. I've been trading oil, man. I've been trading Oxy and Apache Oil, Marathon Patent, Marathon Petroleum, and like, I have no problem with that. And this is based off of like watching crude oil prices and demand. Yeah, it's at 63. It's exactly
63. Brent at 67. Yeah.
You think OPEC? You don't think
at some point you don't think that OPEC is gonna like just turn on the spigot and like, okay, like it'll never, like, what's the cap on oil kind of?
80, but realistically, man, it's
You think
already
so?
kind of a hot. That's totally the price target for the summer. But I mean, I don't know, right? Like that is what analysts say. That is kind of what we've seen in terms of range trading and can expect. But here's the alternate side of that. And I've been playing like my XLE trade has been piping hot, and we got to get off of me. I want to talk about you, Zev. But like just to end this real quick, oil historically, it's like you find it at 35, $45. That's the trade, right? Like, and don't get me wrong, you can do this long term. I did like a 3-month trade on XLE based off of finding it, whatever. In not March. I think I've started playing it.
Why 35, 45? Because that's where the US shuts it off. Like
I mean, it's
the
just
WTI is no longer
historically, like if you
profitable.
look, no, not. I mean, yes, but also it just signifies the bottom of that trading range. Like you can just go back and look back at the history, right? Once you see this thing 9 times out
It
of
went
10, that
negative.
patterns don't tend to repeat themselves. I mean, patterns tend to repeat themselves, but they don't have to, right? So you see
It went
this
to
thing
minus
down
40.
exactly. You see oil at minus 40, you buy, Zev. I buy. Everybody can do
Yeah,
what they
unless
want to
you're on
do.
the hook for
I buy.
1,000 barrels of crude.
We're not that. That's not it at all. I'm just a short-term person who capitalizes off of short-term price movement and volatility. And if you catch oil at negative, knowing that we have cars still and a need for it, there's going to be some short-term volatility. That's it. That's
Yeah.
how I play it, man. I don't have to kind of understand deep underlying ways that it works. Although, like, I'm paying attention. I'm looking at the Baker Hughes oil rig count. I'm looking at the oil stock changes every single week. We talk about it every single day, Zev. Like I
I hate
do
oil.
short-term stuff, but I love having that value and the fundamentals behind it that said, hey, this is why I'm looking at this in the first place.
Yeah.
I know you hate oil. Leave me alone, man. It works
I
for me.
just look, you're trading fluctuations. I'm wondering, what's got a bright future ahead of it. Like semiconductors have a much brighter future than oil. That said, the semis are kind of stalling out. So, you're probably right to be looking at oil in the short term, but longer term, like I don't want anything. I'm 31 years old. I don't want anything that gives me peak demands in my lifetime, really, if I'm thinking about, where is it going to be when I'm 60 or 50? Hopefully 50 because we're out and we've made the money by then.
Right, and you're out of it, just managing. So I want to talk a little bit about you, man. Tell us about kind of how you got to be where you're at. A little bit about your career and what got you into the market in the first place. I'd love to know.
Yeah, so I got home from the Army like 2017. I got a job with an expert network. Basically, I was doing cold calls, but I would connect industry professionals with investors, and I was running one side of the desk at that point, just kind of cold calls to the industry professional. Someone else was speaking to the investment manager. I decided I want to run a full desk, so I moved to tech recruiting, which it's not finance, but what that gave me was I was a recruiter in DevOps, which was just kind of becoming like a thing. People were still defining it at that point in time. And I didn't know how helpful it would be, but DevOps, you're basically talking on the one hand to Linux systems administrators and on, that are trying to evolve kind of into engineers that work with Amazon Web Services, with Red Hat, Enterprise Linux. So RHEL, which, IBM took out Red Hat, Azure, Cloud, Google wasn't really a thing at that point. But so I was running both sides of the tech recruiting desk. I got to speak to the hiring managers, understand what the companies want. And some of these were larger companies. Placed someone at Reuters, someone I think maybe helped at Sesame Street, like whatever. It was all different things. But speaking with all these companies, you get an idea of what skill set do they want. And the thing that kept coming up was Amazon Web Services. Like that was the end all be all, which, sitting here today, we obviously know that. And Azure was just kind of coming up. So at the very least from that job, like it helped me with my sales skills, right? Like life is sales, whatever you're in, life is sales, right? But it also helped me pick up on the buzzwords and stuff. Yeah. But it helped me pick up on the buzzwords. I knew what was in demand and stuff, but it wasn't, calling or whatever you want to call it, So I started studying for CFA level 1. While I'm doing that, I think the management team, and I was doing it on my lunchtime, so not on company hours, but I think the management team kind of caught on. So 2 weeks after they gave me a raise, they called me in on a Friday afternoon and fired me. My wife and her girlfriend at the time, her family, they were going to Spain. I missed that whole trip. I was pissed because I would have been on the plane with them. Instead, I was busy getting fired. And I was like, no, I have to work and stuff. So anyway, at that point, I was like, all right, look, I'm getting into finance. I was like, I'm studying for level 1, all the eggs in one basket. I was like, this is it, now or never. I'm not taking another job. I'm basically going to keep pushing until I get what's going to get me on the career track. So while I'm studying for that, I'm emailing like everybody, Morgan Stanley, AXA advisors, like just Craigslist ads, like whatever it was tied to finance. I was like, I need a foot in the door. And I'll work for peanuts, basically. Finally, though, I get a letter to someone who gets a letter to someone who gets a letter to Jim. I wake up to an email from him the day before I get my CFA results. Pitch me 5 stocks. So I pitch him on the stocks. Like he's like, send five little blurbs. I pitch him on them. I still remember them, if you want to know.
Yeah, we share some of those stocks. That's the crazy part, right? Like, so we'll talk about those later.
Well, so it was Axon. At that point was Taser. They make the body cams. It was Red Hat taken out by IBM. It was Walmart. They had just done the Jet.com merger. It was American Water, Waterworks,
American
AWK.
Water. That's the one.
Trump had just come into office. The thinking was infrastructure. The thinking was we need water. And they had investments and everything. And then it was AT&T. So that one hasn't done so hot, but you got the dividend. It was a pretty good portfolio. And then I told him, I'll let you know about the CFA tomorrow. So I was freaking out because, again, like I turned anything down that wasn't finance. I was like, I'm going to pass this test and I'm getting a job here. So I passed the test and I can't believe, like, I get to tell, okay, so Jim Cramer, the guy who, like, I've been watching for years and years. I used to watch, on my grandma on her 13-inch TV was watching him. And I go in, so I tell him I passed level 1. He's like, all right, come in for an interview. I go in. At this point, I still don't know what I'm interviewing for because I'm just like, I just need to get a foot in the door. And I was like, I was going to talk to anybody about anything. He calls me in, and then I talk to him and this and that. And I'm like, okay, I think I impressed him, but I don't even know if he has an open position or like what's happening. So I send him, thank you so much. And then I'm trying to like, am I interviewing for something? Or are you just helping me like learn where to? And he's like, you're interviewing to be kind of like my number 2 on the team for Action Alerts Plus. I'm like, holy crap. I remember, like, I didn't ask about pay. I didn't ask about anything. I was like, just give me the papers I'm going to sign. Like, so that was February of 2017. And I've been working forever.
I don't care. Just get me in there.
100%. I would have worked for free. Don't tell him that, but I would have worked for free. So that's February 2017. And since I remember the night before the interview, I was up till 3 a.m. studying the portfolio, like, so I could talk about every stock he had. And then since then, it's been basically just learning from him how to, look at the market, covering the market for our members, right? So the portfolio we run is all charity. At the end of the year, gains and dividends all go to charity. Jim put up $3 million of his own money, but the product that we sell is the website, and we try and teach people long-term investing and portfolio management, and we send out alerts constantly and stuff. And then during these years that I've been with him, I'm still with him, obviously. And during this time, like I passed level 2 and 3 of the CFA, got the designation. Been doing that, met you on Clunhouse, and here I am. So
here we are. So real quick, what's the next step, man? Where do you go from Jim Cramer? What would you, in a perfect world, what happens next for you?
Honestly, like, it's a good question. Like, what is the career track? I love this job though. Like, and I'm not just saying that because this is recorded. Like, my wife asks me all the time. She's like, what's the next step? I'm like, I don't know. Like, I got kind of the best stock teacher in the world, and I get to talk to him every day. And like, I mean, next, I don't know when it would be. I guess at some point, since this is technically, I guess maybe a financial media role, it's either kind of go the media route. I don't really think that's the way I'm headed. Like, I got the CFA's designation and all that. I'm not really doing reporting at the street, which is the company that Action Alerts Plus is a part of, or the finance route. And then within finance, like, I know whatever it is, it'll probably be something regarding like managing a portfolio similar to what we do now. We don't do short positions. We don't do options. We don't do anything. So maybe like add on some of whatever that is. But I think it would certainly be more so on what I would want is like on this investment selection, where you're going for the returns. Maybe more so than clients and financial advising and, where it's kind of, although wealth management, I don't know. I guess it's a question of, is it wealth management or is it more hedge fund style, like every 3 months? But we've spoken about this. Like I've thought about that. I don't know that I would love to be in the position where it's necessarily every 3 months there has to be a return, if I like to take the longer term perspective. Not that I shouldn't be graded, especially in this industry. You have to be, and you should be graded, because if you're not going to outperform over a given time for, what the hell are they paying you for?
Exactly.
But 3 months is wild. So I think on the wealth management side, it's more so like long-term investing in companies. Although some hedge funds run it like that, right? Like Ackman, he runs a very concentrated portfolio. He's not necessarily in and out of stuff every 3 months. I don't know. For now, honestly, like I'm just loving the education side. Like I managed to get all of this knowledge through either studying for the CFA or working with Jim, and now I'm kind of in a position, with working for him, we're teaching, all of our members and stuff. I don't know. We'll see.
It's all good. I mean, you know what? We've definitely talked about this behind the scenes, and I struggle with that too, right? Like, where to go? Like, I just took my securities industries essentials exam and passed that, and I'd love
Congrats
to take
again.
yeah, thank you. And I'd love to take maybe the Series 7, right? And move more into like a professional analyst position, maybe, or work on managing people's funds. And at the same time, I too, right? We met on social media talking about stocks. I fully enjoy talking about stocks and doing that fundamental analysis. And that's another reason of why I do it, right? I know you can definitely talk about the technicals, but there's not a lot of meat there for me personally. And a lot of times, if you are good with technicals, a lot of our numbers coincide. We're on the same page a lot of the times as technical people, but the fundamentals give us something to argue about. It gives us something to have a bullish and a bearish case for. That is not more, hey, if we pass this number, there is a percentage chance that we will continue up to this number. That there's no emotion in that, but there is emotion in the market. And I find that on the fundamental side, and I find that in going deep on these companies. I mean, I read like a couple pages about William Lee, I think is his name. I might be wrong. Sorry, the CEO of NEO. And thinking more about their value and what they're going to be doing, and their partnership with Ford, and their partnership. I'm actually really I'm becoming more and more into NEO. I'm becoming more into any EV that's
NEO,
not Tesla.
the battery swap is kind of interesting. We'll see if that lasts when they can
is interesting.
fast charge.
Oh, okay, but they just had a deal. Well, here's the thing, and this makes a lot of sense. So the NEO battery swap things are able to change out 312 batteries per day. Now, fast charging is able to charge currently a 200-mile charge in 15 minutes. So if we, what's that, 4 per hour, 24 hours, 892? Yeah, 96. There we go. So they can do 96 cars per day on a fast charger. Uh-oh. That starts to make a little bit more sense. And then on top of that, these new batteries are going to have even more range, right? So don't get me wrong. Am I completely sold on it? No, but I am sold on their partnerships, and then continuing to have add more and more. I think the target was 5,000 by 2024. And to go even further in that, support from the Chinese government. And then on top of that, so the CEO said they don't see Tesla as their competition. They don't see Tesla as their competition, Zev. It is a kicker, but they don't see Tesla as their competition. I love that. They see BMW as their competition. And look at the naming of their cars. NEO does. They haven't tried to make it cheaper. That's not what they're doing. They're offering a premium service for a premium person. I'm not sure. I'm not gonna lie. And wait, wait. All right. Like I don't want to like make some shit up and be wrong, right?
But isn't Lucid trying to go after that market? So is Lucid the competition?
Lucid is trying to go after that market. Well, Lucid is a
China right now. So I'm not going to. But Lucid's a nice freaking car.
Lucid is a nice car, but so is XPEV. I actually sat in an XPEV and I liked it. Or XPeng, I think is the name of the actual company. Yeah, I sat in it and I liked it. I enjoyed it.
The Lucid is gorgeous.
The Lucid is gorgeous. Air. Okay. And so plus, the premium market is the premium user market, right? Like that's who they're attacking. And one more thing before you go. So in these like battery swap facilities or whatever, it's not going to be some industrial, battery swap thing that it's just, they're creating a club. It's a lounge, Zev. They're going to sell people stuff. There's a lifestyle that's going to be associated with these lounges. And I liked that. It gives you
What a
access to
lounge
their
for what?
community.
A
A
lounge for
lounge for
what? While you
whatever,
have your
a
battery
lounge
swapped?
for, I mean, the battery swap, you don't even have to get out of your car. You don't
Right. So
have to
what's a
do
lounge
anything.
for?
A lounge is for if you want to hang out and schmooze with all of your other rich Neo buddies and sip champagne or something like that while you stare at your fleet of awesome looking cars that don't have to charge at all. You can
This
enjoy
is
that.
something only Elon Musk could possibly pull
What the
off.
lounge is for.
The thing with the Lucid, what they
What do you
really
mean?
need to do is
Yeah.
the CEO has to be the voice of the car. Guy's got a soothing voice. When you hear him talk about the car, you're like, this is luxury. You don't even have to see the car.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm into the Lucid cars. I've also seen, like, I haven't sat in one, but I've seen them, right? I love looking at them on the road, and I don't know. I'm into the luxury EV market. I don't know if Tesla's going to beat out whatever thing that Toyota pops out. That is the Tesla Model 3 going to try to compete with whatever Camry comes out in a couple of years? Because I don't know, man. I didn't see them
Yeah.
as that car, and
But
as they continue to drop
Tesla's not
prices
even
and do
about
that,
the car, right? Like Tesla's
it's
not
not.
about the car. It's about the energy play, right? Like
Is
nobody's
it about
paying
the
this
energy
because they
play?
think it's going to be a car company.
I don't know. That Kathy Wood's valuation didn't say anything about the energy play. It did say a lot about autonomous taxis. And if we're looking at, like, you know what? So
Don't
I
give
came
me
here
so
prepared to
autonomous
talk about.
taxis.
I I
This is
came here
why I
prepared.
don't like Uber long term.
Well, fair enough. Well, we're not here for that yet. Autonomous taxis. I came here prepared to talk about the accident with those two people who were sitting in the car. Nobody was in the driver's seat, and the Tesla thing crashed in
Yeah,
Texas. However,
no tragic.
apparently, I just saw another article that said that full self-driving wasn't even activated on that car. So I'm just confused, actually, at this point. We're seeing a lot of conflicting reports about it. But one thing I do know for
Yeah,
sure is that Tesla actually has not logged any level 3 autonomous driving miles, right? A lot of other companies have. And so it makes me even then question the valuation or whether or not they're really going to be able to hit those metrics with robo taxis when they don't actually have a full self-driving autonomous vehicle on the road yet.
yeah. I'm
What
also
was that
wondering.
first to market advantage? I'm confused because I thought that that's what it was, and as it turns out, it is not.
Yeah, I'm also wondering like why look again. Things like I'm not an autonomous vehicle engineer. Like so, as
Mm-hmm.
far as what I know, who gives a damn? But like I'm somewhat questioning why there's so much pushback on the idea of using computer vision and lidar, unless the problem is they've sold people a lot of cars that they said a software upgrade makes full autonomous. And if you then start putting lidar on the new models, it's kind of an acknowledgement that, listen, without lidar, it's just not going to be as good. Like, and are their hands kind of tied? Like, what happens if all of a sudden they do put lidar on it, and you got all these people that were told it's a $10,000 upgrade, and your car will be full self-driving. I don't know what happens in that scenario, but apparently lidar is like it's getting a lot better. It's getting a lot cheaper.
Exactly.
Everyone else is using it, right? So like, again, like look, if Elon is saying that if a human can do it with their eyes, and we can do it with cameras, and we're going to do it through software and stuff, like if that's the argument, I guess okay. But at the same time, like if I'm driving and you could throw lidar on the top of my car while I'm driving, I'm not going to say no. Like if you can tell me there's something in the road 200 feet ahead of me that maybe I don't see, like I'm not going to say no to that. So I kind of feel like, especially when the stakes are so high, where it is literally life and death, I'm kind of like not understanding why there's so much pushback on maybe something that at worst is just redundant.
So I've talked to some people who are engineers, and I'm going to invite some of my, whatever automotive people who have much more knowledge than both.
Yeah, get Brian on here.
And yeah, I'm gonna get Brian on here. I got a friend named Fahim. I'm gonna get him on here, right? We're gonna get some people on here. We're gonna talk about it with people who truly understand. But here's my thing. The way that they explained it to me was this: Tesla does something that, I mean, every single auto manufacturer has had the ability to do what Tesla's doing. 3D printing the actual shell of the car, incorporating whatever, all of these pieces that make Tesla special. It's not as though Elon's the first person in the universe to ever have had those thoughts, right? He works with other people as well. But there are reasons
He's a
as to why it
genius.
wasn't done. Yeah, I mean, he is a genius.
He's like,
Yeah, whatever. Hey, Zeb, I'm not equipped to qualify people as genius or not.
That's the other
not
problem,
something
right?
I'm
Like
able to do
he's
either.
so smart. He's so smart that even while I question why he won't do that, I'm like who the hell am I to question that? Like I'm like, you can have my money because you're gonna do more with it than I will, and that's how a stock just stays up here at what it's like. Do whatever you got to
I
do.
don't
The
know,
boring
man.
company, the
I
flamethrowers, tequila. We want it all.
Nah, I'm
Short
not with
shorts.
you. I don't want it. I got the tequila. It tastes like a regular tequila, man. Don't.
But it's Tesla. You opened it?
You know I opened it.
I wouldn't have
I have
opened
no
that. That would
self-control.
have been.
I know. Well, then I wouldn't be able to tell you that it tastes like Patron.
I bet it does. It probably tastes worse than Patron. I wouldn't open it. You just gotta leave it there. I'm so angry at
Yeah.
myself that I didn't buy a flamethrower when he was selling them. I can't even explain it to you.
No,
Like,
you
but I
can
was in
just
New
buy
York
a real
City.
flamethrower. They're way better, Zev. It's clearly
What?
not a flamethrower. That's it. You could have bought a real flamethrower. They shoot flames
I
way
don't want
farther.
a real flamethrower. I want an Elon Musk designed. Look, I get the cult factor. Like, and the thing about like, and someone put me on my place when I was talking about, I was asking, I was like, what about the balance sheet, the money, this, that? And what someone said was basically he has money whenever he wants it because he'll sell stock or he'll raise debt and they'll just give it to him. So that's like the thing. That's where the problem comes in with financial modeling, right? Like you can't model a company into bankruptcy if no matter what the numbers say, if they have the ability to be like 5 billion and get it and boom, like they sign a check, which he does. Right? Like
I'm not into it, Zev. I mean, on that with that same rationale, the risk of Tesla isn't that Tesla's company will do bad. It's that Elon says something that somebody doesn't like, or that he falls off, whatever.
well, there's a lot of
Harms
key
himself
man
in some
risk
sort
for
of way.
sure.
That is exactly it, man. And how do you avoid that type of risk? By trading some of the other companies that Tesla is the sector leader. A lot of these companies will follow Tesla hype, and they
Yeah,
give
but
you much better options in terms of premium versus what you're actually going to
maybe, or
get.
you end up in
It's
Nikola,
true.
or
I
you end
mean,
up
well,
with
there you
Nikola,
go.
and all you get is some big truck rolling down a hill.
Well, people who jumped into Nikola are the same thing. I mean, come on, me and you sat here and talked about Lucid for in depth for a long time, and
But
Fisker
Lucid's
too, right? Of
management is
companies,
legit. That guy was
Lucid's
integral to the
management is
Model S.
legit, but at the same time, I don't value companies that don't have a product that they've sold yet, that they haven't bought a product
Oh,
to market.
fair.
That's a problem. That's it. That's
Of
it. So
course.
that's the
But
Nikola
Tesla
thing,
has a
right? I'm
product.
not gonna invest in Tesla as a product, but the Nikola thing, they didn't. They had a red flyer wagon that they pushed down a hill. I wasn't gonna buy that. I was just as skeptic of it as I am now, to be honest. Like Nicholas hasn't gone bankrupt yet. But let's keep it going, man. Because I do want to. Okay, real quick. So I guess one last question. I know you don't trade, but how was your trading day? I know you
You
don't
don't
trade,
trade.
but
How's your trading day?
how's...
Look, I don't.
That's the
I
question.
can't trade because of work, and even if I wasn't in this job, I don't know that day trading would be my thing. I will say about the market overall, just I mean, I'm watching it, so how it's somewhat frustrating. Because for a little while you're saying the yields are causing pressure on the tech. Well, here the yields are at 1.6. They were under for a little while. Tech still can't really get it going. The dollar's getting weaker. Maybe we have to look internationally. I don't know. Oil's up there. I think so. Tony Dwyer, I think it was last week where he referred to the market as kind of like a power on stall out, like with a plane where you just keep going up, 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 and eventually there's just not enough power anymore and you stall. That was pretty accurate, I think, because we are seeing like good news is not enough at this point. I think we've just come very far, very fast. We haven't necessarily seen everything come through in the economy yet, right? There's still issues with unemployment and stuff, even though it's getting better. Even Jay Powell has acknowledged like we are on the verge of a historic economic boom. The thing is like who that follows the market doesn't know that. Like everyone knows at this point. So what will it take for us to get to that next level in the market? I think we have to maybe chop around a little bit. We have to see, maybe some more differentiation in between sectors and stuff. Jim's spoken about this a lot. Like there's just so much supply on the market at this point between the SPACs and the IPOs and the secondaries that companies have been doing. Like, so you have to take some of that in. look, for someone day trading like you, I mean that's a gift maybe. For a longer term investor really is just trying to maybe put on positions and work the basis and stuff and let things play out. It's it's not necessarily the most difficult thing in the world, I don't think, in this market, because you do have certain stocks that like they've hit their level and they're kind of hanging out there. And until we see a real snap in that, you're not really like, holy crap, how much lower can it go? But on the flip side, like, it is just frustrating. Like, this chop is going, what is it, like, we had an okay January something, and then it's just chop.
It's frothy. This isn't enjoyable for sure. I
longer
want to go back to you real quick, because hold on,
healthy.
Jerome Powell has not talked about, he's talking about the same thing, but I'm not hearing his actual sentiments being addressed at all. Personally, the people,
what do you mean,
who are
on 20 minutes? Not 20 minutes, on 60 minutes, for which he was on about 20.
He's been saying the same thing for months now. It hasn't changed, right? This K-shaped economic recovery. Some people are doing great. There needs to be more to address the people who aren't. That's the thing that I'm seeing missed, right? And there is no politician so far who wants to address Black unemployment head on, but they should. There is nobody who's really addressing like the racism that we're seeing against Asian people and Pacific Islanders right now, but they should. There's still nobody who's talking about,
what's Jerome Powell going to do about that?
And what is the job of the
all
Fed
he
in
can
the
do
first place?
Is keep all Jerome Powell can do is keep monetary policy, accommodative. Like, you're not going to get that from Jerome Powell. What you're talking about is like, it's very real issues, but that's more so political,
but he's
and it has to be dealt with, of course. But in terms of what you're looking for, like, do you want Jerome Powell commenting on that stuff? I don't really want him involved.
Zev, yes, I do. Yeah, yes, of course I do, Zev. The Fed, the other thing,
wouldn't that be out of line for him a little bit?
Help employment. That's literally in the bylaws.
Oh, if you're going back to the employment side, okay. But he has said that. He did say that. Okay, he said,
but look, Zev, it doesn't matter. Black people have been making songs, poetry, dances, everything to talk about like the discrepancy in treatment on a corporate level or on a professional level of what it feels like. And as we talk about the economic recovery, right, we have COVID, which is the other big news piece that we definitely still have to. Me and you talk about it a lot, and we're very aware, but I don't think everybody is just ready to go back. And I feel that. Right. But in terms of who's vaccinated and what these vaccine passports and what that means for your travel and your employability on every sector, basically, like, you need to have some sort of vaccine. It seems as though that's what they're going to be pushing in a lot of these workplaces. Right. Who's the number one group of people who doesn't get vaccinated? And why is that? And this is something that whose job is it to fix that? Right. Like, of course, we could talk about the communities of the people who are struggling to fix themselves, but that's pull yourself up by your bootstraps mentality. Right? Like, this is what I pay government for. This is what I pay taxes for. And no, let me finish, because I want Jerome Powell to be talking about it. I want Biden to be talking about it. And I'm annoyed that even in Congress that we can't get any legislation that actually addresses some of the real problems that we have to deal with. Like, and now to come back as a trader and looking into the market, like, who's going to go into these businesses? Right. And don't get me wrong, Black people, 12% of the population. So it's not as though the economic recovery rests solely on the shoulders of unemployed. What do you mean?
That's huge.
It is huge. Right. So, and that's the thing. I think that there are enough pieces of the economy that it doesn't really coincide with what the market's doing right now. And Jerome Powell is bringing attention to that. And I do think that it's responsible of him to continue to do it until there are action items that actually address the issues as opposed to dancing around them. Sorry, one last thing. What's the other thing everybody's waiting to hear right now? The results of the Derek Chauvin case.
Right.
That's it. Well, right. The market wants to know. The market is sitting, waiting to see if there will be riots, to see if whatever police are going to, I've seen articles of people talking about the amount of barricades put up the country and using that as a metric to determine whether or not they think the markets are going to continue to run. Right. So like, and what would have been the easiest way to, the amount of barriers. So like when George Floyd died, they just put up like barriers around like city and state buildings, municipal buildings and stuff like that. And so they're looking at that again and saying, oh, well, they don't have as many barriers. So I think this, bodes well. And it's like, that's how you guys are kind of going to judge public sentiment and reaction to something that is atrocious. And what would have been the easiest way to address this from a federal level? At least start to enact policy that addresses the systemic racism dealt with in police, judicial system, and our prison system. It's not even, you don't even have to come up with an answer, but let's start talking about it with some sort of serious level. But no, what is Biden talking about? What's the article article about Biden today. It's about him saying they need to put less nicotine in cigarettes. The guy who's supposed to be legalizing marijuana, who let a bunch of aides get fired, is now telling us how much nicotine should be in
By the
cigarettes.
way, is that bullish for cigarette companies?
No, it's bearish. Philip Morrison and Altria
why?
both took like 3% dips today.
Yeah, I know what the stock did, but if you think about it, if you're addicted to nicotine, you need your nicotine fix. So if you take half the amount of nicotine in a cigarette, is a smoker, and I don't know if you know smokers, but a smoker is going to get the fix. Like, are they going to smoke twice as many cigarettes now?
But
or are they moving to the
you
Juul?
know what? Well, I think people who I don't know, Zev. I don't. I quit smoking cigarettes over 10 years ago at this point. But I can say,
I quit after
I
the
know
Army.
most people, right? Most people hold on to a Juul and a cigarette if that's the case. I know those atomizers, whatever the e-cigs, they have more nicotine per puff. So.
Yeah, I don't use either one. There's nothing satisfying about a Juul. Like when I got out of the Army, like and smoking like anything from like Marlboro Reds to whatever. Juul doesn't do it. Anyway, not to, and you shouldn't be smoking anyways. But look, in terms of Jerome Powell, though, I think that I think you bunched a lot into that. I think, and I think the thing to
I have a lot. I feel very strongly about it.
I hear you. You're right to. I'm not. You're 100% right to. I think the thing is, in terms of who's going to address these things, unless you're trying to say that Jerome Powell should be doing like targeted monetary policy, like that's not really that's on the political side, because Jerome Powell, at least from what I took for that 60 Minutes interview, he was saying like as long as there are portions of the population that are not experiencing the recovery along with everyone else or the majority or whoever it is or whatever, that he was going to keep policy accommodative. Now, if you're talking about it's not going to the right parts of the economy, that's a political issue, and I agree with you. I do think. Look, how is it going to the right parts of the economy if I'm going to get flack for this for saying something even close to anti-Doge, but ahead of Doge Day?
Do it. Do it.
But how are we targeting stimulus appropriately if landlords are not getting rent? Yet there's enough money floating around that we can pump things like Doge and keep zombie companies going. Because, like, I've heard of at least, this is anecdotal, but I've heard of at least a couple of cases where, the tenant doesn't pay rent and then they just bail. It's like, what are you going to do? Like, they're not going to get this money back. It's on the landlord. So,
but I mean, I want to go the other way. What about the tenant? Like, nobody wants to not pay their rent and just bounce, right? People want to be able to pay their rent. Why couldn't they?
No, for sure.
A problem that many people are dealing with, and the truth is, it is a problem that many people are dealing with. Because I mean, right. I'm with you. The landlords are struggling, right?
Your point is that the money's not going where it's supposed to, right? Like,
yes,
and
that is.
I agree with you, but I don't think that Powell could do anything about it. I think Powell's just got to say, look, the unemployment is still not where it needs to be. Keep letting them borrow, basically. But I don't think it's on Powell. Like, do you want someone who hasn't been elected to be saying this is how the money is spent and stuff? Like, that's he's appointed, right? So,
well, here's my thing though. Like you said, he can't really control any of this. The fact that he's talking about it, I love that. The fact that Janet Yellen's talking about it, I love that.
She has more control. She's the Treasury Secretary.
Right. But I think the conversation needs to be had. And furthermore, Powell has been very consistent. He said, we don't think about tapering till 2%. Done. Like, if we just boil it down to a nutshell, like, I think that's what he's been saying.
Higher than 2%. Higher than 2%. Because he wants average over time now.
I'm looking at 3.2, honestly. But hey, either way, we're not worrying about tapering at least until 2%. And that's pretty much the majority of what he's going to be doing. But in terms of the conversation and in terms of what I want to see from legislation on a federal level, oh man, he's saying exactly. And it's like, it just shows that, like you said, he wasn't elected. And maybe that says a lot too, right? Who was the last person who was elected who spoke for so many people? It was Trump. And it's like, it does really say, because there are many people who agree with what Jay Powell's saying. And there are other people who continue to, campaign for Trump in 2024, right? And so it's like, acknowledging the real America and the, just the disagreements or our real population and what people actually have to say, who we're willing to elect and what that means, I think is important. And like I said, I'm happy that he's leading that discussion. And you're right. That's it. It's just a discussion from him. Hopefully
Oh, it's a
it'll
much
be more
needed
and more
one
people,
in terms of
specifically more and more white men in positions of power talking about it, because AOC gets killed every time she opens her mouth. And I'm not here to, I don't even want to talk about her. But you know what I'm saying? Like, there are other people who have been saying the same thing, but we don't like it when they say it. So maybe if Jay Powell says it, maybe if other people, I mean, I think that Biden's stimulus is actually in
maybe
some
how's
ways
just another
does
another
address.
old white guy.
Yeah, hey, look, old white, let's not go there either, but old white men hold a lot of positions of power in this country. So it's like, yeah, for sure. Like, if change is going to come, old white men have to be a part of that
No,
change,
for sure.
just like everybody else, right?
He's got a platform where, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, hey, I think this is a great place to have these tricky conversations, Sev.
100%.
Okay, real quick.
We're
You
going
talked about
beyond
Doge.
stock market therapy at this point.
Well,
But
yeah,
yeah,
fair enough. But it's the
all types
stuff
of
that,
therapy
like,
now.
it's in the stock market. I mean, it's related to the market. It's
That's my
tradable.
favorite thing
It's a
about the
tradable
stock market,
topic.
right? Like my favorite thing about the stock market is because this is a capitalist society after all, right or wrong.
Mm-hmm.
It all kind of does get tied into money. And that can leave you, it certainly happened to me a few times. Like, it leaves you somewhat jaded where you start thinking of everything as dollar signs. At the same time, like, I've definitely found myself in conversations that maybe I wouldn't have normally had, except that, and I've been in your rooms on Clubhouse, and like, it's happened a few times, right? Like, we start at one thing, we talk about, like, technology and education. It goes so much deeper into, like, education in 2020, what happened with the gap there and stuff like that. So that's the other reason I love, I'm such a huge fan of the markets. Like, granted, sometimes I got to watch out for it because too many things in my head, turns into dollar signs. There's a few things I wouldn't put my own money on, though. Moral, ethical reasons, but it's a pretty short list.
Right. I mean, like, hey, I've heard you go kind of long form about what you don't like about oil, but it's like, I at the same time,
Well, I put my
AWS
money
is
in there
something
if
that a
I
lot of
thought
people
it had a
talk
good
about.
investment thesis. But
Hey, Zev, AWS is something I've heard you talk about. A lot of people are very bullish on it, and it's a stock. Don't get me wrong. I've definitely traded it, but I don't hold it. Like, and it's because I ethically don't agree with what Amazon does to its workers. That's it. This is the only reason, because I'm bullish. I'm bullish on everything that they're doing, but it's a struggle. So we all have our places and things. And at the end of the day, we've both agreed and said that the market really isn't a place where you're rewarded for having integrity or anything like that. There is no assignable
sometimes you are.
monetary value.
If you're a long-term investor and you believe that companies are rewarded for that, you would get rewarded for more ESG type investing. I don't know. Maybe that's an optimistic view of capitalism, but a management. I'd certainly rather my money be in a management team with morals and ethics, and an idea of stakeholder capitalism over shareholder capitalism.
So then, last question.
Sometimes you just want to hit the freaking earnings number, but there's certain things you wouldn't sacrifice to get there.
Feelings on Palantir from an ethical perspective, and then from an actual discounted cash flow perspective.
From an ethical perspective, I can't say I could possibly know the full picture of that company. But I would say, given the space that they're in, I do like it and think it's important that the CEO made it very clear that this is an American company and it's for America. They have top security clearance. So I definitely think, but in terms of an actual business, I do look at it as kind of one of those companies where my camera. Oops, sorry, everyone. I do look at it kind of as one of those companies where if they can perform in the field that they're in now, they're going to be able to come into the corporate world and fix supply chains, and they're going to be able to do it with the best of the best, just because they have come from the highest stakes imaginable, taking disparate data in a war zone, moving into a supply chain environment or corporate environment. I think it's going to be very manageable for them. And I don't know if I've lost the connection, so I might have been rambling all that to myself.
No,
But
you're here, man. I can hear you.
oh,
You know
okay.
what? I just my camera died.
Oh, I was going to say your camera went off, and I'm here talking to myself.
No, you're good, man. It's cool.
Oh,
I'm
there you
back
go.
here. Yeah, no,
New
I
angle.
switched to the webcam. Yeah, it's all good. So here we are, right? New angle, still mic. Okay, so for me, and I've
I do
talked
have to go
long
in 2
actually
minutes
about
though.
Palantir. All right, you know what?
Go for it.
In 2 minutes?
Lightning round.
No, okay.
Wait, can
So
I say that?
lightning round. I love. Oh, right. Is that copyrighted? I love Palantir. I'm definitely actually full disclosure long-term holder. I've been in for a while now. I'm going to continue to extremely bullish on them from a consumer side, as well as a government operations side. And if you've been watching their double-click presentations, which are effing amazing in my opinion, it's not just easy to get through, but they're talking about their growth and their actual use case in pandemic response, which is something that I really appreciated,
Yeah.
as well as in logistic and supply chain management, which is important as well. And they're showing that they actually have value to these companies.
Oh, they
I
save
don't
them
see.
hundreds of millions within a couple of
Thank
weeks
you.
or something. Like
Okay.
the thing is though, if you're a hedge fund, is a CEO. Alex Karp is a CEO who told you, like, I don't manage for 3 months at a time. I don't manage for 12 months. It's like I manage for 5 years out. So if you are, 3 month or 6 month oriented, this is not the management team that gives a damn about what the sell side Wall Street estimates are. Like, if he needs to spend the money, he's going to spend the money. So if that's not the stock for you, like that's something to understand. So I'm bullish on the fact that they can take what they learned in the government sector, move into help companies with supply chains, like you said, help governments
Commercial. Yeah.
in all of
And their
that.
commercial growth
On the
is
moral ethical
verifiable.
side, look, war's a dirty business, and I take that for whatever you want. But if they are the best of the best, which it seems like I want them on my side, and if I'm going to put my money in them, then I definitely want the management team to say, look, like, it's America's interests first, but they help our allies and stuff like that. But, you have to ask yourself, I would ask that same question, what's your thoughts on Lockheed Martin, Raytheon, Northrop Grumman?
Another
Like, let's be
company.
honest here.
Yeah.
Lockheed does well
Yeah.
when they sell F-35s. Raytheon needs to sell missiles. So in terms of morals, ethics, if that's not where you want your money, all right, that's a personal choice. I think I would put my money there. There's other things I wouldn't. I don't want to get into private prisons and everything, but
Well, we got to save it for another show, man.
Too. Huh?
We could talk for a really long time, and honestly, we also missed some of our topics, but it's all good, man. Thank you so much for hanging out. I really appreciate it. I love talking to you. Yeah, we've got to do it again.
Thank you
And
for
I
having
want
me
to.
again. I'm so honored that, like, this is the pilot of. I don't know what the show is called. The Elaine Adams Show, I guess. I don't know.
Aftermarket
thank you
therapy.
again for having
We're
me.
calling it aftermarket therapy, man.
Aftermarket therapy. Got it.
Yeah.
I feel better. I feel like I got my therapy session in. I'm feeling better about tomorrow. Look at this. The 10-year just broke under 1.6. Great.
Oh, you're serious?
15994. So, but I'll take it. There's a 5 handle on it. I'm taking it.
I'm into it, man. I want to end off with a quote. I normally start our days with a quote, and I'm going to end off with one. So here we go. This is by our great friend Charlie Munger, and it goes like this: to get what you want, you have to deserve what you want. The world is not yet a crazy enough place to reward a bunch of undeserving people. I love hearing that you worked and got your CFA while you were working a job on your lunch breaks and then got fired and made it happen. I worked 3 jobs and traded stocks and didn't sleep for years. And I think that's what it takes, no matter what it is. Everybody has something to offer. Everybody has something to sacrifice. But to get to where you want to be, I think that you do have to turn yourself into somebody who deserves that life that you want. And we do that every day by putting in this work in the market, trying to study the stocks and just have some sort of thesis and perspective and be challenged. And you've challenged me a lot, Zev. So I appreciate you. And I think this is going to be us kind of logging off. If you have anything you want to plug or anything, go for it.
All right. Plug wise, check us out. Am I allowed to on this? I'm just gonna do it. ActionAlertsPlus.com. This way Jim won't be, angry if he sees me on here. I don't know. But check us out. It's an educational service above everything. It's a club where we try and teach the portfolio management investment process. In terms of quotes, since this is somewhat of a painful market, I'll leave you with this one from DMX. No matter how hard it rains, withstand the pain. I think it definitely applies to this market. You just, especially if you're long-term invested, you got to ride out some pain sometimes. I'm a big DMX fan, by the way. Like, I was so angry to hear the news. So I'll leave you with that quote from DMX. No matter how hard it rains, withstand the pain.
Amen, man. So much appreciated. I like next time we do this, I'm gonna have my music ready. I normally do intro and outro music.
You gotta have
and
it ready.
It's a solid way to wrap. You gotta have it, and I don't. So we'll get it together for the next time. Yeah. Anyways, I think this is us, man. We're logging off. So yeah, my name's Elaine Adams. Some people call me Stockmom. This is Aftermarket Therapy. Oh, all of our links should be in the bio or description or something like that. Zev's on Twitter. He's on Clubhouse. I'm on Clubhouse. I'm on Twitter. We do a pre-market show every single day. I know Benzinga does one as well, which is awesome. So, I don't want to do anything crazy like that, but please check us out on all the socials, and yeah, we'll be back soon.
Thanks again.
No problem.
Quite the crypto and a key blockchain pick. I'm going to tell you guys what's going to make this different than a lot of the other crypto streams that you watch is that Ruel is